Drop an egg on a tile floor. Watch it break. Now play the film in reverse. The yolk pulls itself off the tiles. The fragments of the broken shell leap into the air and seal their own cracks. The egg rises against gravity, perfectly intact, and settles quietly back into your hand. You know it's a con. You know that's impossible. But the universe does not. If you take the equations that govern reality, the basic laws of physics that let us put a man on the moon, and apply those very laws to that film, you will find something surprising. Every single collision, every interaction between every particle in that poor egg and the tile floor obeys the same rules of physics going forwards as backwards. The egg reassembling itself doesn't violate a single law of reality. Both directions are perfectly legal. But you know something's wrong. You know that egg would never, ever put itself back together. You know this intuitively. There was something in you that saw that backward footage and instantly said, no. We are going to find out what that something is. And chasing the answer will take us somewhere strange. Because the answer isn't in the egg. And it isn't anywhere in the laws of physics. It's a flaw built into the beginning of time. And it's the only reason you can remember anything at all. Let's begin. What makes time tick forward? Film the moon orbiting the Earth for a month. Now play that footage backward. The moon simply orbits the other way. Mathematically, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If the moon had formed rotating in the opposite direction, the sky would look exactly the same, and the laws of gravity wouldn't have a single word to say about it. For the better part of a century, physicists hunted for a law that would dictate the direction in which time should move. They examined electricity, magnetism, light, the quantum mechanics of atoms, the very fabric of space and time itself. They smashed subatomic particles together, looking for clues. They calculated the orbital mechanics of dead planets. They hunted for a single fundamental rule that dictates which way time is supposed to flow. And they couldn't find one. Almost every microscopic law relevant to our world is perfectly time reversible. The equations that make up the world you live in have no preference for past or future. As far as they are concerned, there is no difference between forwards and backwards. Look at yourself. You are a strange collection of matter and energy, obeying the very same physical laws. Every atom in your body is obeying rules that have absolutely no concept of yesterday or tomorrow. And yet, you know which way time is moving. You are made of parts that do not know, but you have always known. That knowing you have, that an egg can only break but never unbreak, is what physicists call the arrow of time. In the late 19th century, a physicist named Ludwig Boltzmann realized that time flowing in one direction is not a law of physics at all. It's just a matter of odds. Look at a massive star dying in the dark. When its core collapses, The star detonates in a supernova. Billions of tons of iron, carbon, and ash are blasted outward at millions of miles an hour, sending a massive shockwave rippling through the freezing vacuum of space. The sheer force completely overwhelms gravity. The debris is traveling far too quickly to ever bring itself back together. There is nothing in the strict, perfectly balanced laws of physics that says those scattered, speeding atoms can't stop, change direction, drift back together, and flawlessly reassemble into a whole, burning star. The laws of physics don't say no. But it will never happen. And the only reason why is the overwhelming scale of the void. There are very few ways for those atoms to be arranged as a solid living star. But there are hundreds of millions of billions of ways for those atoms to be scattered dust, drifting in the dark. The star doesn't reassemble itself because the universe prefers the mess. Being an intact star is fantastically rare. Being a cloud of ash is easy. The intact object is simply outnumbered by the infinite configurations that exist in the dark. And this is what gives time its direction. There is no clock ticking in the background. It is simply a question of matter finding the easiest way to be. The egg on the floor won't unbreak itself for the exact same reason the supernova does not unexplode. The intact egg lost the mathematical vote. The arrow of time is nothing more than the universe, quietly grinding everything down to dust. If you take this mathematics to its logical extreme and choose not to give the universe a starting point, instead letting it sit in total chaos for an unfathomably long time, the result is a nightmare. Imagine floating in the deep void of space and finding a perfectly formed, living, breathing human being just drifting in the vacuum. Logic tells you this person must have come from somewhere. They must have had a mother. They must have had a life, boarded a ship at some point, and somehow ended up here, stranded in the dark. A tidy, complex thing must come from a tidy, complex past. But without anchoring the universe to a starting point, if you ask the pure mathematics of probability where that person came from, it will give you a very different answer. It will tell you that it is far more likely that they just randomly materialized out of nothing. Because probability has no common sense. It knows that the universe is overwhelmingly chaotic. So mathematically, fluctuating a single human into existence by accident makes much more sense than summoning an entire 14 billion year history into existence just to create one drifting human. Look closely at that human. If they somehow did materialize out of the void, then when those random atoms snapped together in the dark, they formed a brain, neurons, synapses that hold electrical charge. They formed memories. That person drifting in the vacuum remembers a childhood that never happened. They remember a sky they never saw. Perhaps they remember the feel of satin, the sound of a closing door, the sting of betrayal, the grief of a loss that never happened, on a planet that never formed. All of those emotions and all of that history living in their head would be no more than a hallucination generated by dust that happened to collide in exactly the right way for a fraction of a second. A random chemical glitch. This is how probability thinks about everything. It doesn't do past tense. It just counts. It will tell you that the shattered egg on your floor didn't fall off the counter. The broken shells and the yolk spontaneously materialized on your tiles out of thin air. Follow that logic to its absolute conclusion, and the past never happened. Your memories, the history of the earth, the intact egg, nothing more than mathematical illusions in a dead universe. And that is precisely where the math fails. Because it contradicts everything you know and everything you've experienced. Your past wasn't messier. It was tidier. There were cups that hadn't been dropped yet. There were intact eggs on counters. The simple mathematics of counting isn't enough to explain the direction of time. Something is missing. If mathematics can't explain it, there is only one place left to look. The absolute beginning. 14 billion years ago, the universe was not a mess. It started as a blindingly hot, completely smooth fog of plasma. Everything was perfectly even. At first glance, that makes no sense. We just established that being spread out is the mess. The egg shattering, the star exploding. That is how things break down. So why is a smooth, spread out fog of plasma considered a tidy starting point? Because of gravity. Gravity is always pulling. But when an egg breaks or a star detonates, the sheer force of the impact or explosion completely overwhelms it. Things are blasted apart faster than gravity can pull them back. But when you zoom out to the scale of the empty cosmos, gravity is the only force that matters. And gravity changes the rules of the mess. Imagine an impossibly massive room filled with dust, perfectly and evenly distributed. Now imagine that every single speck of dust is pulling on every other speck. How long does that room stay perfectly even? The moment a single speck drifts a hair's breadth closer to another, they pull together. Clumps form. Those clumps pull on other clumps. The perfectly balanced room collapses into a pile. That is the actual mechanism of the cosmos. Matter gathers into clouds. Clouds ignite into stars. Stars crash into each other to build galaxies. And eventually, dead stars collapse into black holes, packing more pure chaos into a single space than anything else in existence. When gravity is running the show, the collapse is the mess. And that is why the beginning of the universe is so unsettling. 14 billion years ago, matter was impossibly smooth, evenly laid out across everything. None of the clumps, none of the collapse. It was an arrangement so rare that no one in physics actually knows why it existed. Imagine walking into an empty room. In the exact center of the floor, a wooden pencil is perfectly balanced on its microscopic graphite tip. You know instantly that it did not get there by accident. It is completely unstable. The slightest vibration in the floor, a single breath of air, and it falls. The dawn of the universe was the cosmic equivalent of the entire mass of reality balanced on the head of a pin. And the 14 billion years of history since then, the ignition of the stars, the collisions of galaxies, The formation of the oceans, your entire life, is just the slow motion footage of that pencil falling over. Physicists call this the past hypothesis, and if it is true, it means something profound about what you are. You are not moving through time. You are falling. Look out into the physical universe. It is a graveyard of scars, craters carved into dead moons, the twisted, warped light of galaxies that collided millions of years ago, the radioactive remains of dead stars. Every single one of these things is a trace, a physical structure sitting in the present, recording an event that has ended. Now, find one trace of the future. One physical mark left by an event that hasn't happened yet. It sounds ludicrous. The future hasn't happened, so it can't leave a mark. But down at the particle level, yesterday and tomorrow are mathematically identical. There is no fundamental rule in those particles that says the cosmos shouldn't be covered in footprints from steps you haven't taken yet. There should be marks on your hands from things you haven't touched yet, a scrape on your knee from a fall you haven't taken, dust that settled tomorrow. Yet, there is no such thing. The physical universe only leaves evidence in one direction. Because the past has a boundary. Every single event that led to this exact moment came from that perfectly balanced pencil at the dawn of time. But there is no boundary waiting for us at the end of time. There is nothing there to force the future into a shape, the way the beginning forced the past. And so the future leaves no trace. That is why you can't remember tomorrow. Your brain is a physical structure sitting in the present, correlated with something that happened before. You are just matter with marks on it, exactly like the craters on the moon. You don't instinctively know that the universe only runs one way because of common sense. You know it because you only run one way. You are a piece of the wreckage that learned to look back at itself. The egg is on the floor, and it will stay there. No fundamental law of reality forbids it from reassembling. But it won't. Because to put it back together, every atom scattered across that floor would have to simultaneously stop, turn around, and agree to reverse course. The universe will never do that. It overwhelmingly prefers the mess. The mess always wins. There is no invisible clock ticking forward in the background. Time is simply the physics of a universe in freefall. And you are falling with it. The only reason you have a memory of your childhood, or a door closing, or a face you haven't seen in years, is that each of those moments physically changed your brain. Your past is a mark left in matter. You are a living biological record of the unraveling. There are no footprints ahead of you. Nothing has left any traces there yet. The cosmos only ever leaves the wreckage behind. The star burns out. The egg shatters. And you remember.